Check. Hello? Maybe that, yeah, now that I can hear there's not here. I've always been able to hear. Now I can see that there is sound happening.
Oh, good.
So,
My whole timeout story is null and void.
I don't need that. All right. Hello, Kayla. Now, hopefully you can hear this. What up?
Take 2.
Have you watched? Oh, yeah, you did. I want to hear later. I want to hear about your rewatching of Ninja Turtles versus Batman. I know the proper title is Batman versus the Ninja Turtles, but not in these eyes. I'm glad you can hear us. That's half the show right there. Unless you're really good at reading lips. And even then, you're looking at a logo. You wouldn't be able to read shit.
Right.
Except those words. Oh, it's time to get loose. It's not the weekend, but it's so close. I'm going to call it.
Yeah, I already did.
Yeah, it's Friday.
Oh. I don't know. Every day feels the same to me. What up? You missed my here. I'll do it for Kayla. Check it out, Kayla. Bill and/or Ted is telling me my connection is excellent. Or maybe it's Wayne and/or Garth. Could be either. I don't know. I'll research who works at YouTube. Wayne, Garth? Excellent. Good movie. You've seen Wayne's World, right, Athena?
Yes, I have.
Boy, oh boy. The second one, not as good, but the first one, woo, classic.
Yep, I definitely agree.
I feel like that's my first interaction with Queen. I feel like everybody my age is like, oh, that's what Queen is?
Yeah, I can agree with you with that. It drew in the younger crowd, younger generation.
Oh my God. And I loved the Ballroom Blitz.
Yes,
Oh.
I agree.
Plus, and you're probably not going to connect with this, but Tia Carrere was on my bang list, when I was 13 or whenever that movie came out. Oh.
I'm sure it was on a lot of lists. Kind of like Sofia Viagra, whatever you want to say her name.
Sofia Vergara, right? From Modern Family?
Yes.
Yeah, I hear she's hot. My memory tells me she is, but I don't watch that show, and I don't have like a TV connection to like sitcoms.
That is a great show. I actually been watching it. There's so many seasons, so I'm only about halfway through, but that's a great show. But I enjoy sitcoms.
Yeah, you have to be. Sitcoms are for a certain type of person. It's not for me. Or at least modern ones, I'm not so like, cause I don't know. Last one I tuned into, like, and legitimately gave a try, was like two broke girls.
Well, that's not one to judge it on.
Oh, you're right, because it was a fucking cartoon. Jesus Christ. I was like, if this is what this is all about, I'm out of here. And I left. Oh my God. Well, I guess it's 7:46. Krista left the room, so now we can't start the show. More green room it is.
What happened to Krista?
I'm here.
She's back now. I don't know what happened. She probably heard a noise and had to run to the bathtub, jump inside for a sec.
Shut up.
Kayla will get that reference.
Gonna drink my Tombstone wine.
What is it called?
Pure Gold.
Oh,
Gold
yeah.
Rush. Pure Gold. Pure Gold.
Yeah, I think it was Pure Gold. Anywho, let's start it. Here we go.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're doing another live one here, obviously. You've read the title. So, oh my God. You know, that's what happens. It's time to start the show. My ear starts to itch and ruins the whole thing because no one wants to see you stick anything in any orifice on the air. But I couldn't help it. God damn it.
It's not that kind of show.
Well, this time it is. So, you know, she was on the show before, so welcome her back. We've got Athena. Welcome, Athena.
Thanks. Glad to be back.
And then there's Krista over there.
I'm over there, over here.
Oh, I'll click you onto the...
Yeah.
So you can see me, obviously. Hey, what's up? Let's get Krista over there. Zing! There she is.
I'm here.
Oh, boy. Okay, so here's the show. We're going to talk... I wanted to talk about this last week because it came up. Athena, you posted something on Facebook, and I responded with a comment on space. The details are now lost to me. Do you remember them?
Kinda. I remember your response was, "How much time do you have?" Was that the post?
Yeah. The one
That's
before,
all
yeah.
I remember.
The root of that one we need, probably. But I guess it doesn't really matter. But we need context, so maybe I should have done a little research.
Let's see.
Chris, do some fact checking. Wow. So I get into it. So first of all, let's start here because we need to get some context and some common ground. What, you know, obviously you're reading the title of this show. It is space and what to do in it. So let's get a consensus on what space is, so our minds are at least met there, so we can jump off from that. So, to you, what is space? And we don't have to get all weird or metaphysical. If you want to just give me a straight up forward answer, I'm fine with that too.
So, space, like planets or mental space? I think that's what started the whole thing.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be. Technically, I don't. Maybe there isn't. Maybe there isn't a difference, and maybe there is.
Cryptic.
Say wow.
Cryptic.
Woo. No, but I do have. So I guess. Yeah. Because let's talk about physical space first. How about that?
Okay.
That'll be the most easy concept to meet upon, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So-
I agree.
Yeah, so the concept of space itself, the fact that there is something and then there is nothing. And that nothing we call space, right? So if something exists, I'm going to hold up this water bottle. This is my water bottle. It is a thing and it exists in the space so I can move my hand around it. We agree that is space, right?
Yes. Yeah, that is space.
Okay. That's what I needed to go to first, number one. Number two, how are we going to come to define interior space?
I think that's within your aura.
Within your aura?
I mean, that is your space.
Well, would you classify that as interior though?
Yes.
Even though it's outside technically?
Yes, because your aura is created from your interior and energy that you are radiating out.
Okay, so now maybe I'm just talking about interior mental space. Well, here I'll do my physical space metaphor. Maybe that'll lead us into the interior space metaphor. Basically, what I'm going to be getting at here is we could talk about outer space or the universe as a whole, because everything is within space. You know what I mean? Like the planet itself is hanging in space. So the importance of space means that where would the Earth be? Where would any planet be, really? Or the sun and the stars? Where would anything be without space? If everything was just a solid, nothing would be anything. So without space, nothing could exist. Like if there weren't space, you can say, well, there's air, and you can get all pedantic and stuff, but I hope we don't have to go into that here. Because even in the vacuum of space, it can be argued that there are waves and or particles. But the fact that those waves or particles exist means they exist out in space. They can't exist in a solid. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the importance of space to us. Like we literally need it to exist, and the implication that space exists, or rather the reality that space exists, implies that mass exists, because without mass, there would be no such thing as space. Because if there's just a void, there's no eye there to look upon it and be like, it's empty because there's no mass. Do you get it? So that's pretty simple. The Earth as a rock, as a ball in space, needs that space, the universe, to exist.
Yes.
Yes. The universe can't be a solid cube or an orb or whatever shape it would necessarily need to be, because shape would be finite. But space can be infinite. That's why we exist in a void. We're little specks in a void. So what I'm likening that to now is the roundabout way of bringing it to Krista and I have been going over the idea of cultivating or I don't like the word cultivating. Because it's already there. What I'm talking about, what I'm going to be talking about is already there in you. But you need to sort of find it. So, like when you're mentally, when you have all these thoughts in your head that are constantly running or racing or doing whatever, you're always looking for ways to either recycle the old one to see if you can rethink it, right? Because that's what I do it. I mean, you do it probably too, Krista.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do it too, Athena.
Yeah.
So, I guess the importance I'm trying to bring into like what I was talking about with you is interior space, meaning like having a quiet place where the space is basically no judgment of thought is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because the Earth hangs in space and nothing really is like from a million miles away. It's just floating there, not being offensive or anything. So you're just looking at it and being objective about it.
Oh, so you're saying like instead of like dissecting every thought or trying to figure it out or whatever, it just kind of is there.
Yeah.
And it just kind of floats there and it doesn't like ruin my day.
Yeah, that was the. And I wish I had your original post so we could have that as a springboard.
I found it.
Okay, what was the original thing?
So the original post was filling my mind with pleasant thoughts is the shortest path to health.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then, do you want to hear your response?
I do. Yes, please.
And then you responded, removing all thoughts is the path to awakening.
Yeah. Bingo. Okay. So yeah, now I remember the progression. Okay. So, okay. So that's why I needed that for this metaphor. What we do, what is like common knowledge or common, a common tactic, it is exactly that. Is like, you fill yourself with this constant stream of up, but that implies, as the Earth and space implies mass and vice versa, the up that you're building implies a down. In the back of your mind, filling your head and filling that space, every nook and cranny, with good implies the breaking of the dam and a bad. So my, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's not really advice, but my perspective that I thought maybe you'd be interested in and like to share a part of, is instead of gathering and looking for the ups, give it space, because your interior is infinite. It is like the cosmos. Like all of your thoughts come out of the ether and are essentially a never-ending stream. So they're functionally infinite. And you want to throw more on top of that. My strategy, or my the point of what I was trying to get at there was instead of trying to block out the bad with a shield of good, is stepping back and just letting the train of thought go by and not attach anything to it. Because I think that's what we all do, is we get our hooks into that juicy, angry or sad or whatever thought, and we crank it back onto the wheel for another go-around again and again.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, because my husband and I just had a conversation about this tonight, about the negative thoughts and just attaching it to negative. And you don't ever attach to the good, you attach to the negative. And I think that's just a human way. Why? I don't know. It has to be psychologically, but I mean, you're right. We attach to negative.
Yeah. And well, it's because we do a couple of things. It's all based around the idea that we need to be. But my main thesis is, like, that is all stuff that is forced when we step back. And I'm going to walk the line between being a mystic and being a whatever else that is not a mystic. So however this is going to hit you, like, meditation is that sort of thing that gives you a space, but it's like, you don't have to be like cross-legged with your fingers crossed and listening to a gong or something. Like, you can walk and meditate, you can do whatever. But the point is, it's an active, whatever. Maybe cultivation is the right word, because you're looking for it and you're clearing out all the crap that's there. But when you think of your thoughts as the planets in the universe, all of them moving around, they're not good or bad. They're just doing their thing. So if you take the perspective of space, and see these thoughts that you have as just the planets, these spherical rocks floating around with nothing hanging above and nothing supporting them below, just there, and you're not attached to them and holding them and trying to control them and be like, because imagine if you were, imagine that metaphorically is like something that's just going to keep going no matter what, which is your thought. You're going to be a continuous experience of thought your entire life. So trying to stop it, or trying to make it go faster, or trying to implement anything on it would be like trying to slow or speed up the earth. It's like a force of nature up here.
Yeah. Okay. I see where you're going.
So that's the thing. But I don't want to denigrate or disrespect or downplay your strategy or that as advice either, because we're all humans, and until something happens, you need, people need reminders, I guess. I'm getting more and more that there's no real school to get anywhere anytime soon. So if you need like that stream of positivity to counteract the negativity, I can get that as well. My stance is like a third party, because everybody lives on these polarities. That's what I'm getting at with the space and the matter metaphor as well. We live on a scale, like from happy to sad or happy to whatever the scale you want. It could be a circle, like a color wheel with all the emotions. The moral of the story is we all live on that spectrum somewhere. So just take some time every once in a while to visit space off of that wheel and look at all the little happenings and goings on of your mind without getting involved in the rigmarole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's easier to say than do. And for others, it's probably easier than somebody, like, for example, anxiety. Because somebody with anxiety, that is the hardest thing
Oh, yeah.
to shut off. And I think, but then again, like you said, it's wherever you are on that spectrum.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say like, "Hey, good news, I've solved your problem." This, like I said, cultivate. This will be something that you do in every spare moment, because it's like once you have an idea in mind, you have the goal, you say, "Oh, I'm going to give up the negativity. I'm going to be positive," or whatever your thing is. You still need some time while moving on that spectrum outside of it. And even like the attempt, even if you're just going to sit there and try not to think or try not to judge, even if you make the attempt, you're going to get better and better at it. That's the thing. Like, I never want to give the impression that it's not going to take whatever time means to you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I kind of, I guess I kind of did that today. Like, there's just days where I have more anxiety than not. And today I had some for literally no reason. I knew there was no reason. And so when Elliot took a nap, I went outside and did some yard work just to kind of, I guess not really distract my mind, but just, I don't know, I guess clear the space, I guess you called it, or,
well, yeah,
or
what
whatever.
you're doing a bunch of like tangible and ethereal things. Like if you want to get all weird about it, because getting up and moving and like moving around your body is going to exercise your circulatory system and move out the chemicals that are sort of lingering, but also, swapping the old cycle for a new track is removing, energy, if you will, from that cycle of that laundry, we've all been through that spin cycle feeling of that same thought over and over and over again. But you walk a fine line, because if you go, you have to be present in the moment and decide to stop, because a lot of people will go like, every time this happens, I do blah. And then they become that weird person who's like, has this weird ritual. The ritual is important because it helps break the cycle, but you need to be connected to it to actually break out.
I feel attacked. I'm just saying, I feel attacked.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying, like, in the moment, it is easy to, because I used to do this. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not like pointing the finger of accusation. I'm speaking from experience. This is all about me. I would do that. Like, I would jump into a ritual, and then what happened was, because I was getting more into the ritual than I was getting out of my thought. I was bringing a thought into the ritual and then hating the ritual. Like, let's say it was an exercise. Or let's say it was a hobby. I was bringing that cycle of thought into the hobby and hating that hobby.
Yeah.
So I was trying to run away, but dragging it with me like a corpse in a bag.
See, I wasn't doing that. Like I watered all my plants today too, and that I wasn't thinking about anything but watering the plants, and like I kept getting distracted with cleaning something, but it helps me not think about the stuff that was making my chest want to explode out of my body.
Because you're living in the moment. Anxiety is you're thinking about the future. You're worried about something in the future.
And I have no idea what it was because I can't even put my finger on it.
Well, and that's the thing too. When you start to break the habit, your body goes through the old motions.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I'm going to say. Again, I'm going to double down that it takes time. Like, you're not just going to be like, yeah, I'm on board with this idea. And then like tomorrow you wake up and you're new, like you're your own Tony Robbins, where you're your own, what was the word? Motivation factory. But that's the thing. In between techniques, I would say, do whatever you want. But that's what I wanted to get across to you here, because I thought, especially with So if we are going to continue the thoughts as planets metaphor, if you are of the type to believe that the planets are in a certain alignment for a reason, and they are akin to your thoughts in space, vice versa, metaphorical and physical, they're all there for a reason. So why are you going to be trying to monkey with them or try to manipulate them in any way? Because when you overthink them, and you have to catch yourself, because I still do this, you just try to shorten the cycle every time.
I think it's because it doesn't feel good.
What part?
Like you were saying with the planets and, the feelings and not being able to control them and just to deal with whatever that thought or feeling was. But I think we try to change it because it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I totally get that. But here's the rub. The thought is a memory, and a memory is, the visualization of the past, which no longer exists. So, by a logic standpoint, thinking about it will not change the past. It will only conjure up the past for you to horrify yourself with. But metaphysically, bringing that negative energy up and circulating it through your head ain't good either.
Right.
So that's why my approach is just take some time every once in a while from go green party. Don't be don't be on the pleasure seeker or the depressed side. Try to take when you can, obviously, take a step out and be a third-party observer of your thoughts and see how long you can go without clutching them, like you're a starving man finding fruit on a beach. Metaphorically, I would do that.
Now, listen to you talk on the metaphysical side. It sounds like what you would do with shadow work.
Essentially, yeah. You're basically, whatever you want to call it, whether it's shadow work or when Matthew Blades was on, he used the inner child.
Okay.
The concept is very, very similar across the board. You're essentially grappling with the concept of the past as a whole, by going through large chunks that are essentially pivotal to you personally.
Yes.
Which is fine. Like, if you need to get through it that way, I endorse it wholeheartedly. My strategy was a chopping it off at the head. You know what I mean? Like when here's the metaphor. You are the train carrying the past. All these cars behind you, right? And it's just weighing you down because you're not using the past as reference or knowledge to keep you where you are and hey, this is where I am because of the past. You're dragging it along with you. So we look for the important links to go clink, and then a bunch of cars fall off, and we run up and find the other big moment, and we go clink, and however many times we need to do it. But another thing you can do is just jump to the head and remove the car from the train itself, and the whole train falls off. But it's up to you how that happens. And the way you do it is by cultivating that sense of space. Because when you can detach from the thoughts, you can realistically appraise them, which is always going to be semi-impossible on the self, because you're not going to appraise. You're always going to be better, think you're better than you are, or think you're different than you are.
So if you detach everything at the train, you get rid of the one in the front and it all goes away. So emptiness is essentially the way that you want to go?
Yeah, kind of. But there's a caveat.
Okay.
When you are the void, You are an infinite space for things to create and to be brought into, right? Like because that's the thing. When we call ourselves, we're basically a collection of thoughts and feelings and emotions in the past, and we're all culminated in this physical organism you see. But,
Okay.
But the thing is, nothing before this moment exists anymore. And so when you give yourself some space and see the memories, because all your thoughts are basically replays of memories, unless you're having a brand new idea. But those are the things that we typically fixate on. When you see that if you can cultivate that void inside you big enough, you realize that you can be, full of everything you want to be because you have cultivated that void. You don't want to cultivate a collection of junk because that fills you up and you feel heavy, right? But if you cultivate a void, which is still metaphorically, you can't fill yourself with thoughts because they're intangible, and you can't fill yourself with void because what is that? But that mindset can get you to a place where, and it'll be scary if you do it, so I'm maybe not recommending it. I'm just saying it's a thing you can do. But when you do cultivate that, you realize, oh, okay, there's a lot of room for literally everything. And since it's in there now, like a memory, like an idea, a memory, a thought isn't part of you until you remember it. And then it's you. And it's in the space, the void that is you. Another little planet, boop, or a little whatever the metaphor you want it to be. You want to be a real big tank for all the cool shit. Not a real compact ball because you're trying to fit everything into this meat puppet.
Okay. So I'm a little confused. If you're detaching everything, good and bad, just so you have this void, you're getting rid of the good stuff that you should have. How do you detach? Are you saying that you detach only certain ones, or you just get rid of everything?
It depending on the person. What you essentially want to do is clean the slate and then bring everything back. Because it's like detaching does not invalidate. It does not wipe your memory. It does not change literally anything aside from the fact that you now get to control what affects you. So that's what detached means. Detached means, and that's maybe that detached isn't the right thing because we're hung up on our thoughts. It's more like a frictionless movement through water. Instead of being hung up on thoughts, it's more of a frictionless movement. So you move through life and that's the thing. Being detached means nothing sticks to you. You get to reach out and grab the things you want and bring them. So I get to choose to enjoy my family and enjoy whatever. And I get to choose to not give a shit about all the people who are hassling me in XYZ manner or fashion. So detached means you're in control, but it sounds spooky and weird to say detached.
Yeah, it
So I
sounds
admit
like
that.
detached from everything.
Yeah, but it kind of is. You're a free agent.
Right.
Because when you say you're attached, you're clinging. When you're
Well,
detached,
isn't that the purpose of meditating?
basically, yes. Because that's more or less cultivating that void.
So maybe the answer is meditating. So then when you come back, you are picking out the pieces that you want.
Yeah, that's the long and the short of meditation, essentially. Unless you get caught up, because you can. Ritual is the husk of religion. You can get into, because I did this. I leaned in hard. I got into meditating with mantras and incense and all the trappings. I made it an experience, which is like, I'm looking past the gift and playing with the wrapping paper because I was just getting into the ritual. So you have to, the other thing, we walk that line. But I forget where I was going with that. Sorry. I lost the
Well,
train.
it's like there's like a happy
Distracted by the
medium
wrapping paper. Yeah,
Uh,
happy medium.
between meditating and like going whole hog into the ritual aspect and
Yeah, that's the whole point. Is like this should be a dialogue. It should be what this is. The human experience should be a conversation like this where you explore your insides without having to get stuck on things. Because that's what it does. Maybe that's another good metaphor. Is like the thoughts that we don't want, they stick to us. It feels like we're made of flypaper. They're just like on us all the time. But detaching isn't so much like, it's like jumping out of a plane and letting go and nothing. It's just moving through like a fish through water. You don't like, I would say I'm completely detached from things, but I choose the ones that I like. Like Krista, you wouldn't say that I'm like a robot at home. I don't like
no.
time for sleep, I guess. No reason to care. Like,
But that's what I was afraid of at the beginning.
well, yeah, because maybe there needs to be a change in vocabulary from detached
Yeah,
to something
I know,
else.
your thing with words and blah 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 and verbiage and all that stuff is like
But it's important because how else are you going to communicate thought?
right.
Not if people don't understand the large words that you're using.
Accurate.
Well, okay, so that's another failing of mine is I get too into the what do you, I don't even know what you want to call it. Like I get like I turn everything up to 11. So when I look into all this stuff, a lot of interesting terms pop out to me repeatedly, and so they just find themselves in my
Yeah, and then my
dialogue.
ass is Googling before I respond to a text or a something like, what does this mean? Do. Oh, I still don't get it. So then I'm like, well, I'm going to wing it.
Right. I know. I have to do the exact same thing. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means, but okay.
Well, if I do that, I do not mean to. And if you want me to unpack anything, I totally will, because I'm not trying to lose anybody along this journey.
That's my daily life with my husband because he does the exact same thing. And I just look at him like, I don't have a clue what you just said to me.
Well, that's maybe that's part of it too. Is when you this is another running theme with us, at least, is like the expansion of your consciousness, so that you can be more aware of your surroundings and sort of take in more. Not necessarily like the context clues of a sentence, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm talking about is like when you are checked into where you are right now, you don't have a want to go back or forward. You don't want to go back to the past or worry about something upcoming. If you're conscious now and you're looking around and sort of engaged with your whatever you got, your hobbies, that's why your plants help you, because they are an ongoing thing that bring you to a present moment that now needs your attention. They don't need your thought. They don't need your cyclical behavior. They need something. And it's up to you to figure it out. So you're in the present moment. So boom, past is what it should be, not there. The future is what it should be, doesn't exist. The plants, you're here.
Plants, yes.
Maps,
Maps.
local reference. But yeah, that was the only moral of my story. And if you've been bored to tears by it, I'm sorry.
Kayla hasn't said a word.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like, good night. But I know that there's a lot of metaphysical side to this, and that you are into that like me. So it's something that I figured that you would have at least a unique perspective on, if not some sort of inquisition of.
I get. I really don't know if I have I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I don't realize that I feel a certain way about things until it comes up and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel that way about it. And, but yeah, I don't know.
That's the cycle, right? Like,
Yes.
you don't
that's the cycle.
realize you've been carried away until you're 10 miles down the road.
Yep.
And I think it's different for people. I keep bringing up anxiety, but I think anxiety is a huge factor in mental space of keeping it clean.
But when you think about it, every time you are anxious, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking about to be anxious? Or is it just like, because when, or I'm not going to give you my opinion. I want to hear yours first.
It's not necessarily a thing. Sometimes it's just random thoughts or something that is coming up in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so I worry about, I just worry about everything in general, but
Right.
I always think of what is going to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And is that the right thing to do? And it just, I have voices in my head, as crazy as that sounds, but it's not.
No, they're your
I
thoughts.
don't have like multiple personalities, but there's voices that I was like, hey, this is going on, and it's really not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's like, no, this is going to happen. This will happen.
So let me ask you this. Would you agree then, if you look forward, you only find anxiety, but if you look back, you only find depression?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
So, ta-da! Now, back to the root of the matter. Here we are in the present. Like, here we are this moment, and that's what my advice is to everybody, is check into here and now, realize the space around you. Because every time your mind isn't here, reality, you don't exist. You're in a la-la land. You're in the past, which doesn't exist, only up here, and only up here for you, because everybody will have a different recollection. Or you're trying to control the future from here, and where can you reach and touch the future, my friend? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
that's the daily struggle.
Yeah. So that's with this space, you find that when you cultivate an inner space, you realize there's space all around you, not only space physically, but space temporally. You've got tons of time and space around you. Why are you trying to control it? Because you can't. So if you're here right now with me, because all we have is now, like an eternal now. You fall asleep. You fall asleep now. You wake up now. It's right now. Every time you say now, it's now. So thinking about the future, if you're detached from it, can be fun because your imagination likes to wander. But if we use our imagination as a weapon, that's no good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
the crazier the plan, the least amount of compliance you are going to get with it. There's a Disneyland metaphor that I use that I'm going to use again right now. Let's say you're going to Disneyland tomorrow, and you're one of these people who's like, oh, good news, family, and you hand them like a binder that's a schedule, and they say, 8 a.m., get to the park, 8:05, this, 8:06, that, 8:10, and the whole day is like that. All it takes is one event to be off for the rest of the day to be ruined. Because you built yourself a ladder of failure. Because you planned it to a T, not realizing you can't control literally anything. Because the universe does what it wants. You are a part of it and can interact with it, but you can't tell it what to do. And that's what a schedule is.
Exactly.
So you say, guess what? Tomorrow we're going to Disneyland. Now go to bed. Done. So the next day, when you show up, you get to do whatever the hell you want, and you're not letting yourself down by building that plan, or building on if you're going to build a plan, don't build the plan of failure. If you're going to cast your mind forward, think about the good things that'll possibly, because whatever, if you want to at least flip the script, or take your plan so bare bones and then come back to now.
I would go crazy.
Well, again, it's a cultivation.
Yeah, it's
Y-
very
you're,
hard.
You're not
going to
be like the next time you have this thought cross your head. That's what I'm saying. It's just shaving layers off the onion to get to the core of the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I so wish I could be a person just to wing it with things like that, but I guess that's something that I need to work on, but I can't let that go. That
Well, exactly.
Just thinking about it is like making me anxious.
Yeah, because you want to keep it.
Well, yeah. See, now I'm going to try to justify why
Exactly.
it needs to be done.
No, you don't understand. I need this bad behavior because XYZ. Yeah, we all do that.
Exactly.
So as long as you do that, you'll get what you get. So I wouldn't complain. But if you want to change, and then also don't complain, because then you change and you go, woohoo. But if you, that's one of the keys too, is you say, yeah, I'm owning up to me. Bingo. Say, this is who I am. I'm going to keep this bad behavior alive and be okay with it. Because in the universe, every niche exists for a reason. So let's say you don't want to give up that behavior. Fine. Just don't beat yourself up over it. Right? If you want to keep reliving it, do it. Do it to your heart's content. But don't also hit yourself on the head with a hammer. Metaphorically.
Or physically.
Or physically.
You're at Disneyland and it's the balloon ones.
Oh, yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that's the thing. There's a million different ways to just do it. Like, because we're all going to be, because then you say, okay, I'm detached. Now what? You still are going to be you. Everything you love will still be in you. And you'll still want to do the things you do. Except now you just say, I do them, and I don't beat myself up over it.
But it's still a weird thing.
Yeah.
Because I'll randomly, like, I've texted you before being like, okay, this is, like, scary. Like, just weird, not nothingness, like, in my head or whatever. I don't remember what the exact examples were that I was talking to you about, but it's just not my normal.
Right. But when you're normal, intellectually, when you're normal, you realize is toxic, is destructive, is negative, is whatever, however you want to describe it, because you don't want it. That's the first step. So when you start changing the behavior and it's the status quo is now different, even though it's a more comfortable position to be in, it's not status quo.
Right.
So that there's speed bumps along the way, because when you finally get to certain steps, if you're not a fully integrated human being, you're just able to go whoosh and just fly through the air and be enlightened like that, you're going to have these hiccups. But if they kick you, then they kick you. You know, don't beat yourself up. Just say, well, I tried and I got kicked. Like, if, let's say, literally, if you were a rodeo rider and you got kicked the first time, you say, I quit. What?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's not how you win a rodeo. And since this is one that you don't get to check out of until whenever, you might as well get back up on the horse, my friend. Because what else are you going to do is my point.
Yeah, there is nothing. Yeah.
You know, we're all, speaking of space, we're all just floating around in it, having a ball. What else are we going to do? Why not be the person we want to be instead of be the person that's thinking about the person we want to be? Wrap your head around that.
Yeah, yes. So the funniest thing, this whole conversation, I mean, not as deep and complex as you have gone. This conversation has happened so many times in our household because my mind doesn't work that way. And I think Krista and I are very much alike in that way, because my mind does not work that way. I want to be that way, like you just said,
Right. But
be the person that you are, not who you want to be. And it's hard.
Here's the catch-22 that you are currently stuck in, that Krista has one leg in still. When you say, I can't because I am blah, I wish I were blah, right? So the you that is not the you want to be is trying to be the you that you want to be, but you don't know how to be it. So you just sit here and go, I wish.
Well, no, I take small steps because I can't take. See, now I'm using can't. Now I'm being all self-conscious about this.
No, listen, don't get hung up on words. I'll get the message. You know what I mean?
Doing small things to get to the end result. And that's just kind of how I work. But in my time, it will happen, but I am nowhere close to that yet.
Right. And you admit that because that's the pile of work that you've set before yourself. We all do that. Like that's our whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it your yoga, like that is your pile of yoga. You know what I mean? Like you've got all this stuff that you feel is necessary to go through. We all carry that around. It's how fast do you want to get through it is the thing. That's the only thing that changes is we all have a past. We all have issues with parents or siblings or friends or relatives or enemies at work or whatever. We've all got a whole heap and helping of shit on our plate, right? It's just how long do you want to chew it before you realize you're done eating? That's we decide when we've had enough. And sometimes it is a strange and crazy path. And I'm not saying don't do what you are planning on doing, right? Because everybody's got their own, and I cannot tell you how to do yours. You are the one behind that wheel.
Yeah.
But your hand is also on the throttle. So if you want, you can crank that thing to 11. It's just how fast do you want to let yourself? Because again, I'll tell you, if you go through it in chunks, there will be weirdness and scary bits. Because
if you do it whole hog, it can also probably be terrifying too.
No, if you go whole hog, then you're just done. Then everything drops and you realize it's all been what it has been. And now you can pick up the pieces of everything you want because you realize everything is inert in a sense. It's not inert in that like, you're not part of the environment and the environment isn't a part of you. It's just that the way that you interact with it is inert. Okay. It's neither good nor bad. You get to choose, hey, that was a good interaction or that was a bad interaction. Mm-hmm. If someone wants to call me on the phone at work and yell at my ass up and down, left and right, 2 years ago would have devastated me emotionally for a week. Now I'm detached and I go, oh, click. But I say that all glib, but it did not happen overnight. Like I said, it was 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, the thing is we confuse trying with something. Because like now you say, I'm trying. I used to say that too. Krista says it. We all say it. I'm trying. But you're not. You have to do it in the moment. When a thing arises, when the event, when the experience, when the thing, what we're talking about arises, that is when you call your plan into action. But if you say right now, I'm trying. Literally, what are you trying? Like, is there something inside you, like a little elf sawing a log? Like that's what trying is? Like there's an idea? No, it's when it happens. You just have to be on guard. You know what I mean? You say, I'm trying. Trying just means you're a goalie, right? You're waiting for the next experience for your tactic to happen. If you pop up your consciousness, you'll be a good goalie. When that experience comes, bam. You'll be sloppy at first, but trying is not trying. You have to actively be a goalie for your brain.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but you can do things to better prepare your mind and to be more at rest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm not saying like, because you could also proactively do things like meditation and stuff like that. You hit the Tibetan singing bell and sort of get that resonance and everything going on the outside. I'm not saying there's not something you can do proactively, but it's only going to matter when the rubber meets the road. If you meditate on not blowing up at a family member when they ask you that same annoying question for the 40th fucking time, you're not going to have any experience dealing with that until they ask you that 40th fucking question for the 40th fucking time. And
well, they
that's when
shouldn't
the
have
rubber...
asked that question. They get what's coming if it's that many times.
Well, yeah, but whatever the metaphor you want, like whenever the rubber meets the road, that's when you are trying. Right now, you're goalieing. You're actively keeping guard. You are right here, right now. Maybe that's another. I just thought of that goalie metaphor. I'm not really a hockey fan, but
hey, I'm for it. I'm all about hockey.
Yeah, if you want to use that, fine, great. Because you have to be an active goalie, not by tensing up. You're just sort of raising your consciousness and being making your radar circle just a little wider to know sooner when something is happening.
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe that's what trying should be. You shouldn't say I'm trying. You should say I'm doing. I'm blocking my damn brain or whatever you want to call it. Because you essentially, on the metaphysical side, when you are expanding your consciousness, you are pulling that energy up through all of your chakras to the crown to blast that out, and you get more of a sense of reality. You're more in tune with surroundings because you're part of them.
Yeah.
But it only works if you're trying is that. If you're trying is expanding your consciousness to make sure that you're on your fence, minding the borders for whenever that cyclical thought, whenever that idea of the future, whenever that idea of the past starts creeping up. You got to be there, pads, hockey mask, and stick to be like, nope, bam. And sometimes the pucks will keep coming and coming.
But then, so you're just constantly on the defense?
No, you're relaxed. You don't know. Like you're basically, okay, goalie may be a little intense. Maybe you're like a cowboy wandering a big fence. Let's say you're a cowboy on the back of a horse. You got a nice 10-gallon hat. You're just sort of minding the fence, looking for damage, and then not overreacting to it, maybe.
Okay.
You're just sort of, and then we'll say in the distance, what are those wolves? Get the horses or whatever. So you're constantly looking at, you're pushing. That's the point.
It's like a preemptive strike.
Yeah, you're just pushing the levels of your consciousness out a little further so you can get a read on things. And by that, I also mean inside.
Yeah. Because
you're going to be the one doing these things. So expanding your consciousness is also to work interiorly too, because you say, oh, I'm having that thought again. And you are conscious enough to know that because your awareness was here. And you go, bam, hit the puck.
Bam.
Or no, I'm sorry, cowboy. You shoot the wolf. Sorry. Mixed metaphors.
Well, the goalie one's not bad. It's just, to me, like...
You want to be a loose goalie.
Yeah.
And a loose cowboy.
And a loose cannon. Not a loose cannon.
Yeah, you want to be a loose cannon cop on the edge. That's what we all are internally. But, again, it all comes from that space. Because you're not going to find these qualities in the cluttered mess that you're cramming full constantly to tie it all together to the root. When you have the vast void on your side, it is not your enemy. It is not your friend. It is just somewhere you get to use for free. That's free real estate.
For free.
And
it's free real estate.
And you get to do that every time you want to do that. Every time you want to put some effort into it, you can. And if you do, you get that effort. It doesn't vanish. When you cultivate the inside, it's not like when you're done, you go, oh well. Like if you were out in a garden and then there's no gopher that's going to pop up through the patch and spoil your work. You get that experience. You get those experience points.
It's
you
like
get
an
that
RPG.
Energy. Yeah, well, however you want to think of it. You get that connection to the universe. That's all experience points for you.
Life is an RPG game.
If you want to play it it is a game. You are constantly joining guilds, building experience.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I feel like that's a little muddying the waters, maybe too much. Since we're way off the rails metaphorically. Anyway, holy shit, it's been an hour.
Oh, what the Hold on. My lights went out on me. That was really weird. Oh. All right.
My
Sorry.
bad.
Completely distraction.
Anyway, Athena, this has been super fun. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't really know what to expect, but
Me neither.
it was insightful. It was good.
There are very few people who want to get into this sort of dialogue with me, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't have, well, yeah, I really don't have anybody to talk about this type of stuff with. So it is nice.
Yeah, it like with any hobby or with any change of life or with any religion or with any whatever. Like if you find you love like let's say because I did this personal example. Like when you find out you love pepper jack cheese, you talk everybody's fucking ear off about it until you've had enough talking about it, and you just internalize it.
And then you move on to Havarti.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah, and then I fucking annoy another person 10 years after the pepper jack incident. Boy, oh boy, what a storied life. But if I beat myself up over it, I'd probably never eat those cheeses again.
True.
Athena, look, why don't we do this? Do you want to do a staff recommendation since you're honorary staff and this is technically a show?
What type of recommendation for which?
Anything you want. If you want to recommend
Your-
all and sundry, a food, a mineral, a beverage, a planet,
your
anything.
page, your group?
Your page, your group. It can be self-serving.
Well, yeah, I do have a page. It's Bewitching Spirit and Soul. It's things that I create myself with clay and stones, crystals. I'm starting to work with bones, all kinds of different stuff. So you can check that out. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. And
I should have got after the show. Let me get some links and I'll put them in the description of this video for the future. What's that? Yeah, so you'll be able to get those links down below in the future and then see Athena's stuff. It's actually pretty cool. That I gotta give you a personal shout out. I loved that casket ring that I saw you showing off.
Guess who got it for you?
Spoilers.
I knew you'd like it. I was like, when she was live, when you were live, Athena, I wrote in there, I wonder if David would wear that ring. And then he came out of the shower and he was like, I like that coffin ring.
Yeah, I like a good ring. I just did a head count. I've got 80.
Oh my God.
So yeah, as always.
I did see your skull lineup of rings.
Yeah, well, this is a partial lineup. This
is just the 10.
Yeah.
Tonight's 10.
No, technically it's only 5. I only have 5 skulls on.
Oh, well, I was just talking about your lineup of rings.
What up? Anyway, Krista, do you want to recommend something?
I've run out of recommendations. We just recommended one yesterday on a recording.
Yeah, let me. I was listening to something today that I was like, oh yeah, this is worth. Oh yeah, okay. There's a YouTube channel out there. If you want to get into this sort of goofy shit that I'm into. I love the saxophone. So there's a channel on YouTube called Dr. Sax Love, and all in sundry of jazz sax. And there's live channels it's got on the show, and it's very fun if you like pretending you're at a dentist's office when you're at work.
Hey, I've always liked saxophone. I used to play saxophone.
Yeah, I love a good horn coming from the ska world as a child.
Yeah.
That's a Dr. Sax Love?
Yeah, Dr. Sax Love. Like Dr. Love, but with a sax in it.
Okay, that's not, yeah. My husband played the saxophone, and he's been all about that lately. So I will show him that YouTube. So that means that I will be falling asleep to that YouTube channel probably for the next several days.
Perfect.
It's good stuff. It's if you like, because I love a good brass. The Resonance of Brass. Mwah, mamma mia. Anyway, guys, thanks for showing up, watching. Kayla, thanks for sticking it out as long as you did. We'll see you. I'll play the outro. We'll see you on next time on a live show, and everyone can say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
For the try to